Happy Tuesday to everybody. This is Rob Mazak. I am coming to you in the evening on the 23rd of April. I am a psychic medium, and most of the time I talk about a lot of things that align with the metaphysical, spiritual, things like that. Tonight I want to talk a little bit more on the motivational side. And I want to talk about the phrase, never give up. Now that can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. But most people would take that to equate to somebody going after something, not stopping until they get that something. But never quitting can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. Quitting could also come in many different types and varieties. Because you can do things like what they talk about these days as quiet quitting. Slowly fading out of the background, slowly doing less and less, until you've actually stopped. But in this life, you don't get anything for free. You never get anything for free. You have to work for everything. If you get something for free, it's likely not going to be worth anything to you. You have no skin in the game. In order for you to feel accomplished, truly accomplished, you need to put the work in. You need to do the hard work in silence, behind the scenes. And be recognized when you get on the field. Recognition and outcomes and all those things are not rewarded on the field. They're rewarded through all the hard work in the background, the late nights, the early mornings, the hard workouts, the extra classes, all those things. And we can't expect to get anything out of life that we're not willing to put in. I was listening to somebody speak yesterday on a podcast, and they said something that really made a lot of sense. If you're trying to do or become what the 5% have become in whatever category you're trying to reach that goal in, then you have to put that same effort that the 5% in that category puts in. So essentially it comes down to how it works, for example, with your computer. What you put in, you get out. Whatever you put into life is what you get out. So I said I wasn't going to use any metaphysical type analogies, but I got to throw some in here every now and then, right? But what energy you put out is the energy you receive. If you wake up in the morning and you're expecting trouble, you're feeling bad, your attitude stinks, and your day's just going to continue to go that way because that's what you're going to attract. But never quitting is something that I think our younger generation has really not learned to adopt, like us old folks. Born in 1960, those days were a lot different. And even the generation before me, never quitting was absolutely in the vocabulary and absolutely in everything that everybody did. People went to work for a company and they would work 30 years, 40 years, their whole life, never leave the town. And it didn't matter how badly they were treated or how much money they didn't make or how much they did not enjoy the job. It was just built into us, just drilled into us that, dedication to a company was imperative. It was just something you did. And of course, back then, they also had more pensions and more retirements. I get it. I'm not saying that the new generation is always quitting. However, that seems to be what the new trend is. Most people don't keep a job for 30 years, much less a couple most of the time. And there are some faults with that, don't get me wrong, because us older generation that stuck with a job for 20, 30 years, right, and just accepting what we got is also not necessarily a good thing. Because if you're being mistreated, underpaid, and you really don't like what you do, and you're going to stick with it anyway, you get to the end of your life and wonder what the hell you did, right? And so on the far extreme, we have the younger generation who really wants a lot of things for less work. We're in a time when instant gratification is a thing. We can get online. I can get online right now, and I can order anything I want, basically. Almost anything I can dream of is out there for sale, and I can get it at my front door, maybe not exactly when I want, but pretty daggum fast, right? It will just show up. All you gotta do is push some buttons, pay some money, boom, there it is, right? A lot of the younger generation go into the workforce now with the same attitude, is they expect to be, that big level manager when they step in, and they fail to realize, or they haven't been raised in an environment where working for things is a norm. I'm not saying that, I'm not judging the older generation or the younger generation to say that everybody's the same. This is just kind of commonalities, if you will. And so now we have people that just really don't stick with jobs, and they want more. And, in a lot of ways that can be good too, because it also drives competition amongst companies. Yes. And so it does do some good things, but at the same time, there's no real consistency in people's lives. And so it teaches them to, in a lot of ways, to never really, to go after a goal and stick with it. And like I said, I'm not putting everybody in that category, don't get me wrong. It's just kind of the majority these days. So never quitting. Never quitting. The hard part about that equation is you have to have something that you're going after. Some goal, some desire, some dream, some big stretch of your humanity, your strength, your energy, your money, your time, right? You got to have something that's in front of you to go after, to even put the word or the phrase never quit in there, right? I mean, you can't quit if you've never started. Of course, there's a lot of people that start and quit all the time. So a lot of people need to quit quitting. But the point is, though, that a lot of let me just say this, a lot of the people today, old generation, young generation, in between, they simply don't know what they want. They don't know what they're going after. They don't have a clue what they want to be when they grow up, if you will. And, that's probably the biggest problem. Every time a client comes in and talks to me about things, that's one of the first things I ask. I said, I'm going to hand you a card. And let's pretend that this credit card, is from God himself. And with this card, you can be anything you want to be, do anything you wanted to do without having to pay it back. And everything you want to become and have and do, you can use it with this card. What would that look like? 99% of the people cannot answer that question, even without constraints. Most of us have no idea what we want to be, who we want to be, why we want to be. And so we end up going through life just kind of bopping around, taking any old job we can, suffering through less pay, bad bosses, horrible work, doing things for 8 hours a day or longer with people that we'd rather not hang out with. It's just mind-boggling, if you ask me. And I'm not saying that, a regular life, if you will, of going to work and raising a family and having grandkids and doing all those things and vacations is not something that's bad. But if you are one of those people out there that want to leave a mark, you want people to remember when you leave this planet, this earth, or whatever this is, then you have to do more than just the average and the norm. And to do more, to become more than the average, you have to do more than the average. You simply have to balance that equation. Everything that you want to do takes time. It takes effort. Nothing that's worthwhile is ever going to just show up and be instantaneous. It's just not going to happen. I mean, don't get me wrong, it does happen occasionally. Sometimes, an old relative dies that you may not even know that you had. Next thing you know, you got a ton of money. I get it. It does happen occasionally. I'm talking about the norm, where you have desires and goals, and you want to actually achieve those instead of just thinking about them. You have to do the work. There's no way around it. The only time success comes before work is in the dictionary. You have to do the work. Of course, it is better to work smarter and not necessarily harder. Just because you're running in place doesn't mean you're getting anywhere. You want to do the work and you want to do it in a smart way. Finding somebody that is doing or is who you want to be, or is doing or has the goals or the things that you would like to have, picking their brain or figuring out what they did is a very good start. Because if you want to be a millionaire, you certainly don't want to ask your thousandaire cousin or family member, because they have no idea. If they had proper advice, they would be a millionaire, likely anyway, right? And so many people have plenty of ideas, but they don't necessarily stand behind that with action. Because, even if you can't just sit on the couch and wish for something, the old saying, if you wish in one hand and crap in the other, what do you get? You get crap, right? So you have to do the work. But most of all, you have to know what the heck it is you want. What do you want? And so there's a lot of different methods or definitions of success. And I also don't think success is a destination. Reaching a goal is only as good as getting there. And then what? You reach the top of the mountain, what are you going to do? Sit there and get old and fat? No. Success is to me is the journey. This human life that we have, I think, is not so much about what we become or what we reach on our goals. It's who we become in the struggle to get those things. Let's think about that, right? Because another saying that I heard somebody say the other day that's just stuck with me like nobody's business, right, is easy times create weak leaders. Strong times create strong leaders. And so in order for you to become anything of any value, right, you must go through the trials and the tribulations. Diamonds are formed through extreme pressure over long periods of time. And I'm not saying everything that you go after has to take 10, 15, 20 years. I'm not saying that. But I am saying it doesn't happen overnight. And then the other thing is that you have to create a goal. Well, you don't have to. The best way to create a goal or a dream is that it has to be so big that there's no possible way you could do it by yourself. And if you tell it to a family member and they don't think you're crazy, it's not big enough. To go after something that's going to stretch you, it has to be so enormous and so big that you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to work for it. You have to do things differently. You have to train different, train harder, stay up later, get up earlier, whatever. You have to be able to stretch yourself. You simply are not going to become anything different by doing the same thing every day. Sitting on your couch, watching TV, watching other people make millions of dollars. For example, watching a football game for 4 hours. Why, those guys are making millions and millions and millions of dollars. And you're not making anything sitting there. And other than maybe getting a little peace and quiet out of relaxing. But you get my point. If you think about it this way, for example, Lamborghini, those fancy cars, right? If you don't know what Lamborghinis are, really expensive high-end cars. They don't advertise on the television. They do not do commercials because they will tell you the kind of person that they are seeking to purchase their vehicles doesn't have time to watch TV. So why would they advertise to the people that are not doing the work, that are just sitting around watching the world go by? I don't know about you, but I certainly want to be more than I am today, tomorrow. So in other words, tomorrow I want to be better than I was today. Now, is that going to happen every day? No. Am I going to be successful every day in the steps I create for my goal? No. And should it be? No. Because if you're not failing, you're not trying. Failure is part of success. It has to be. You will not meet anybody that's become successful that didn't screw something up. Probably many, many times. you have to go through it. You just have to go through it to get to it. There's just no other way around it. And the other part of that equation, people, is remembering that motivation is kind of crap. Motivation is something that is never on your side because you're never going to feel like doing the things that you need to do. It's just not going to happen. You have to learn to parent yourself. You have to do the things that you don't want to do simply because you need to do it. Feelings have nothing to do with it. Feelings are really screwing you, to be honest. You need to do it because you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to do it. And is there anything in life that we have to do? No. The only thing we have to do in life is eventually, what? Die. So, even getting to the bottom, failing, becoming poverty-stricken, to be, all that stuff, it takes time too. It takes effort. It takes work. And you're going to have pain regardless. Everything is hard. Everything is hard. You have to choose your hard. It's hard to be wealthy. It's hard to be poor. It's hard to be good looking. It's hard to be ugly. It's all those things, right? Everything is hard. And that's just part of the equation. You have to choose what you're willing to bear. You have to choose what you're willing to go through. And also, you need to choose not just what you're going to be doing, but what you're not going to do, what you're not going to accept. Is it going to do you any good to go out drinking with the boys on Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, instead of doing the things that you should be doing? We have to put priorities on things because, life is not really that long. 75 years, 100 years might seem really long. But I'm telling you, when you get older, people, it doesn't seem so long. I'm 63, and when they say time goes by faster the older you get, let me tell you, it does. And sometimes you have to do things, go after your goals, do all those things that you've always wanted to do when you're old and tired, and sometimes you do. It's obviously much better to start when you're younger, put the time in, put the investment in, just like you would in the stock market. If you put your money in, you wait your time, do your due diligence, go through the ups and the downs. In the end, the goal is to have a much bigger reward at the other end. And rewards are simply just not handed out. Just like, you can't go down the bank and they're just going to hand you money. The only money you're going to get is the money you put in. What you get in, you get out. Right? And you can't rely on other people. Everything that you're going to have, everything that you're going to do, everything that you're going to accomplish has to be you. It has to begin with you. You are the only thing that matters. Yes, you might have a wife, a husband, a girlfriend, boyfriend, family members, people at work, but ultimately you are responsible for you. You are responsible for becoming who you want to be or who you need to be and attaining all those goals in life that you would like to reach. And they're not going to happen on their own. And you also got to be careful too, is a lot of people will rest on their past achievements. Well, let me tell you, most people do not really care who you used to be. They only care what you are now and who you can become and who you're looking to be. I can tell you, I'm a military man. I have a 4-inch thick binder and I can't even fit everything in it. I have to start a new one of all the medals and training and awards and things I've done, attaboys, everything. Stuff all over my uniform. I got so many awards, I'm not allowed to wear them all. But you know what? Nobody really cares. They only care how I treat them, how I take care of them now, what I'm doing for them, where I'm going. And all those things that I have sitting in my binder and on my uniform, they won't buy me a cup of coffee. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. So you gotta be sure that you are shining up the right trophy. Are you shining up the trophy of your past and showing it off and talking about everything that was instead of the things that can be, should be? You got to be careful. Shine that right trophy. And the other thing you have to be careful of is that you're not using the word or words like I should or I probably should. Things like that. as Tony Robbins says, people should all over themselves. The word should, I should do this, I should do that, I should go after this goal, I should get up early, I should stay up late, I should go running. All those things are absolutely not going to do you anything. They're not going to do anything for you. You got to change your mentality, your verbiage, everything, right? Use I am statements. You don't become who you want to be. You become what you must be. You become what you have to have. You get the things you must have, not the things you should have. You have to really change how you think and how you operate within your mind. Because if you're only thinking about doing things and dreaming about them, yes, that's great. Visualization is a good part of things. Oh my gosh, you have to put action behind that. As the Bible quotes, right? Faith without works is dead. You can believe all day long. But if you're not going and putting the work in, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to work unless you do. That's just the way it is, right? And let me tell you, poverty sucks. Living from paycheck to paycheck, if you're even doing that, is not living. It's not the way of life. And it's not selfish, people, to become wealthy and to become superstar or to become some magical and powerful person. Because when you become better, you affect everybody else in the world, and you can give more, you can do more, you can influence more. So it's not selfish to become more. It's actually necessary. It is absolutely necessary because we're all connected in this sea, this universal consciousness sea. Sorry, metaphysical thrown in there. When I become good, when I become the best, when I become wealthy, when I become powerful, influential, I can affect the rest of the sea. And what better way to leave your mark and to become somebody that other people can also follow behind. We all want to go out of this world. Well, I can't speak for everybody. Most of us would love to go out of this world with people remembering us for generation after generation after generation. And not for the lousy things we've done, right? But for the great things we've done. And, nobody's going to remember somebody that sat on a couch and binge-watched TV, drank beer all the time, or whatever, right? Wasted their time, and really they got nothing out of life other than existing. And, there's nothing wrong with normal life. Like I said, don't get me wrong. But deep down, I think all of us would love to be somebody special. Somebody that everybody knows. Somebody that everybody looks up to, everybody comes to. And people that, people want to be around. It's just that simple. And the other thing about never giving up, people, is that never giving up doesn't mean you shouldn't rest or you shouldn't recover. It just means not stopping, moving towards that goal. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who will say you need to work, you need to, get up early, go to bed late, work like you're going to die tomorrow. Sure, that works for some people. It works for a lot of people. As a human being, it's hard to sustain that sometimes. Got it. But never quitting means never quitting. It means keep your eyes on the prize and keep moving towards that goal. And once you reach that goal, time to set another one. Because like I said, sitting on top of that mountaintop, shining up the wrong trophy, all it's going to do is get you lazy, fat, out of shape, and then nobody's going to care to rest on the achievements of your past. It's just not the way it works. And don't get me wrong, we're all going to get so old, hopefully someday, right? That there's no way that we could ever continue to put out that type of energy, right? But there's other ways to do things. It doesn't always have to be, the gloriful goal of becoming a professional soccer player or joining the NFL or running 10 marathons in a week or whatever. But there's always ways to become a better person than you were yesterday. And I think that's what it's all about, is to become better than you were yesterday. Practice does not make perfect, people, because you can always better your best. Always better your best. You can always become a better version than you were yesterday. And you should. Otherwise, what's the point of being here on this planet, this place, this reality? I don't think there is. I think we are here. My strong belief in what I do as a psychic medium and all the services I have and all the experiences I have with clients in my own meditation journeys is we are here to experience human life as a spirit bound in a meat suit, if you will, a human body. And let me tell you, you are here over tremendous odds, 400 trillion to 1 chance that you were actually born. Why the hell would you waste it sitting in a club, drinking till you can't see, every weekend, and partying and just being lazy, watching TV, whatever. You get my point. There's a place for those things, and I'm not making fun of that. I'm just saying, there's a place for that. But if that's your norm and that's your regular, expect your life to never change, because it's just not going to. You have to change, and so in order for something to change, it's just no way around it. Change only happens when something changes. And when 95% of our thoughts are the same every day as they were 10 years ago even, then you can expect the same thing. We must change our thought pattern. We must change our patterns all the way around. Our work habits, our physical habits, our mental habits, the way we think, the way we eat, the way we do everything must change in order for us to change. Sorry, I'm trying to put a bunch of words in here. And sorry I'm on my soapbox, but it's just so frustrating to watch the world at large just kind of wither away as a human being, go through life, eat, work, sleep, consume, die, and that's it. I just don't think that that's why we're here. I think we're here to have an experiences, and I don't think that involves living, for 2 days off a week if you get that much, for a couple weeks of vacation every year, working at jobs that you don't like, doing things and hanging around people that you shouldn't be, fogging up your mind with drugs and alcohol, and being programmed by the television and the media and all that. I don't think that's it. I don't think that's where it's at, right? I think it's time for all of us to pick a goal, find something that really invigorates us and do it because it's the right thing to do. And do it because you want to do it, and don't worry about what other people think. Gone are the days when it mattered what other people used to think about you. Back in the caveman days, if you didn't fit in, if you didn't go with the norm, you were pushed out of the clan and you hardly ever survived because you got eaten by a lion or something. Nowadays, that's not so much the case. But we still are kind of wired that way. Quit worrying about what people think and worrying about how they feel. We don't need to impress everybody else. We don't need to say what we're going to do. We just need to do it. Show them. Don't tell them. Anyway, I will digress. People, do yourself a favor and become who you want to be, who you should be, who you ought to be, and make it a must. Make it something that absolutely has to happen. Go all in. All in is a big word. And reach that goal. Once you reach that goal, step out into another one. Keep going. Live your life. Be strong. Be talking to you again. I would love to hear from you. Go to my website. Find my contact page at lifebymazak.com. LIFEBYMAZAK.com. Let me know how you feel about this. Perhaps we can collaborate. We can talk about things. Maybe both learn from each other and move forward and become everything all of us should be. Once again, stay strong and live your life.